Well, welcome back to Soda City Live, everyone. It is Be Well Wednesday, and we have our fitness guru, James Patrick, in the building. Greg, answering some questions today.
That's good, yeah. And you know, James, I gotta tell you, it looks like you're dressed up, not necessarily for working out, but answering questions today.
This is my answering questions sweater.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So
Me, on the other hand, yeah, I don't
you
think
look
I'm
like
working
you're
on
ready
this.
for a 5K, Greg.
Man, listen.
Listen.
Ready for a check. This man is ready.
He is ready.
I was gonna say.
So one thing that we thought would be cool to do today was to ask, to give people the opportunity to ask you some questions about their workout plans, their fitness plans, their health plans, because after our segment, so many people are like, ask James Patrick this, or can he talk about this? So now is the day. So we actually put a prompt out, a question out on social media for people to ask you questions. James, you got some responses. Greg and I got some responses, but we'll start with you first.
Okay.
Because I think your question is my favorite. Someone asked you what, James?
So Marie wants to know how can she eat chicken wings and still lose weight? And listen,
That is an important question, Marie.
It's just how many?
It's the age-old question,
Right.
and it has prompted people for centuries.
Oh my
Okay,
gosh.
how can you actually keep a flat tummy while enjoying a 10-piece all flats?
Yeah.
And so it's really important for it to have balance. We got to have what we need before we have what we want. That's the number one principle in food. Having what you need before you have what you want. So before you indulge, make sure you've taken the time to have your fibrous carbs. Did you have a salad beforehand? Have you had enough water? Maybe drink a little bit more water. Oftentimes we mistake our dehydration for being hungry. So that's one of those checkpoints. Yes, and also making sure that you're moving. It's not enough to be on a full tummy if you're just going to sit there. And that food will turn into that keg that we don't want.
That stubborn belly.
Well, you know, James, and I think sometimes it's just simple things, like or something small. Sometimes people think they gotta I gotta run 10 miles and I gotta change my whole diet. I gotta do this. I gotta. It's like, no, do one thing.
One thing.
That helps.
That's it.
That's it. Well, one of our questions coming from Dylan, he wants to know, what are some tips to lose visceral fat? I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly, but he says that is the fat that you're working out and everything will go except from your stomach.
Yeah, so unfortunately, to a degree, you can't really pull that fat, that tissue back to the muscle. So we do need help, and oftentimes that may have to result in you may seeking a physician out, finding someone who can rid the remaining tissue. But in the case of just having regular tissue, stick back to that muscle, give it some time. Also, keep your strength training on high. Okay, you got to get those muscles moving. You got to get them full so that skin can reattach to the muscle the proper way. And it's going to take some time. Be patient with your body.
Yeah, that's something good to think about. Christina had a question asking whether it's a myth or a fact about cardio being the most effective way to lose weight.
Oh my gosh, I get asked this question every year. I mean, what do I do? Do I have more cardio? Do I need to lift weights? Well, here's the thing. You got to have a little bit of both. So what I tell people is design a program or find a program that's suitable for you that mixes cardio and strength training. That's going to keep you more mentally engaged. It's going to diversify your fitness, and you're going to get hungry to learn more along the way.
And Marcus, really good advice, right? Yeah. Marcus wants to know, what exercises do you need to do for better heart health?
Oh my goodness. Well, we just talked about cardiovascular health, but again, making sure that you diversify your fitness. How do you do that? Find your fitness love language. Find a thing that works for you. Just because it may work for the masses doesn't mean that it's going to be as effective for you or keep you as engaged as you need to be in order to make sure that program is going to be working. So make sure that you diversify your fitness. Your cardiovascular health is going to be a big proponent in your progress. So keeping it consistent. Just continue to do what you're doing. Keep fighting the good fight.
That's it.
Yeah.
You know, Zach has a question though about getting up to fight in the first place. You need some motivation. He says, how do you motivate yourself?
Well, here's the thing: that motivation's got to become internal, and we oftentimes are looking for that external motivation.
That's right.
And by way of our phones, we find that we get a little external motivation, right? But use that as a propellant to get you up and running, something to get your internal motivation sparked. So finding your fitness love language, finding the thing that works for you. Do you enjoy being outdoors? Maybe you like you like to rock climb. What speaks to you? And whatever it is that speaks to you, find it, expound on it, and grow with it.
And speaking of, speaking to yourself, getting motivated to work out, once you do those things, Maggie is asking, When exactly and how exactly do you make time to work out? If you're like living a super busy schedule, what should you do?
Well, here's the thing. If you follow Megan Thee Stallion, if you follow Meg Thee Stallion, you'll see that she is going to the gym and she's spending at least 40 minutes a day. She says she doesn't spend all day in there. She goes in, her trainer rocks her for 40 minutes and she's out there. So here's the thing. We can always find time to do what we want, right? Finding the time. Now, that doesn't mean that you need to be in there for an hour and a half. You don't need to be an employee at the gym to be 8 hours a day. That's not necessary, okay? Find what works for you. Find a time frame, 30 minutes, and carve that time out. First thing in the morning oftentimes is most effective.
Yeah. Well, Maggie also has another question. She wants to know what stretches or routines are good for people who have like desk jobs and are sitting down a lot during the day.
Man, those hips get achy, don't they? I mean, that low back really speaks to you by 3 p.m. and you don't get off until 5:30. And I mean, what are you going to do? So making sure that we stretch through the hips. Oftentimes the pain that we feel in the upper, mid, low back is coming from the hips or the shoulders. So that neck pain is often coming from your hips or shoulders being imbalanced. So, hey, find a good chiropractor. Find someone that cares about your body and can tell you and give you a good assessment. And also making sure that you're doing stretches like contralateral stretching, stretching through the core because our core is shortened oftentimes when we're seated, and also stretching through the hamstrings. So, getting into a heel dig every 45 minutes to an hour. Often, just get out the chair. Get up and shake a tail feather every 30 seconds.
Nobody won't look at you weird if you do that?
Nobody's going to know.
Nobody's going to know.
So good. I think another question that a lot of people have is what's the best exercise to be doing as you age? Because you hear different things about like running, jogging, being tough on your joints. Is there any sort of, cardio or exercise that really works for folks as they get a little older?
At the end of the day, combining mobility with your strength or cardiovascular movements is going to constantly keep you in a progressive state as you age. So it doesn't have to be the hardest workout. It doesn't have to be the toughest workout. As long as you're utilizing a full body routine, 4-limb movement, you're incorporating stretching, that's going to have a different face every few years, okay? We got to get out of the habit. You can't do it. You can't do what you did at 15, at 45, 65, 75. But what we can do is find what works for us and continue to expound on our mobility and range of motion.
Kind of like meeting yourself where you are.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's really good. Well, James Patrick, as always, great information, great details. We really appreciate your insight. And now after hearing some of those answers, I feel motivated to go to the gym. Greg, what about you?
I do too. It answered the question that I had looming, which was how do I fit in this pair of jeans, or how do I fit in this shirt?
Again, if you shimmy and shake a tail feather 30 seconds a day, ladies and gentlemen, 30 seconds an hour,
it will work.
It will work.
So we're just gonna be walking around like this all day.
I'm telling you.
All right, James. Well, thank you. We'll see you same time, same place next Wednesday.
Absolutely.
You'll be here. All righty then. We're going to take a quick break. Much more Soda City Live with Greg and I after this.
Be Well Wednesday is sponsored by Lexington Medical Center, #1 hospital in the Columbia metro area by U.S. News and World Report. We're here to care for you whenever you need us.
Warning.